Welcome to the Choose on Purpose podcast. We are in the Wow series. The wisdom of women gets to be shared on this episode. And today we have the OP community conversation around building strategies, the way that, our life is flowing from the strategies that we're utilizing, as well as being able to get some new insights from each other as we like to bring an acronym around our monthly theme. And our theme this month that we're focused on is soul alignment. And I want to bring a acronym of rooted. So it's going to be ROOTED. So those of you that are listening that like to take notes, there you have a baseline of how you want to build out your notes already. So, right, we're talking about a soul alignment framework here for living what matters most to us, right? That alignment. And I have Terry and Nancy in the room with me today to have this conversation. So, ladies, thank you for joining me today. Happy you're here.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, this is going to be great. Thanks for inviting us, Becky.
What's beautiful is that this is the heart to heart people with me in here in the community. These two ladies hold space in our community for a heart-to-heart conversation once a month, diving deep into what we're thinking and feeling around our month's theme. So I'm super excited that you're both here and honored to have this extra space with you to give some more insight where we're each coming from with our alignment here. So let's dive in for some conversation because I know both of these ladies love to reflect, and that's what my R is. So, my R for rooted is reflect on your values, right? So, what do you truly value right now in your life? Because I think about alignment and I think about it's recalibrating, right? It's in the now. It's very present. So thinking about the question to start you off, like, what do you truly value right now? Right? Because who do you want to be comes from this question too, right? Who do you want to be at the core of the choices that you're making right now in your life? So being able to reflect on that, I think is a really powerful way to get started because this month is really about diving into what truly matters to you in the way that you're living, aligning with those values and your purpose, right? To walk our talk and to honor what's really true for us and create space for what does matter most to us. So beyond what we should be doing, right? We talk about staying away from shitting on ourselves, but right, like knowing what worked in the past as well. Like that's where I think that this is really about the present moment. So being able to reflect on your values and what matters most to you right now. I'll just kick it off by I came into the room with you ladies talking about friendship, and that was a big conversation all morning today in my head, in my dialogue and building out how much of an importance friendship is for me that I've been reflecting on this week really strongly. And so I'm curious if either one of you want to share like what comes up for you around, a word or a value that is really anchoring for you right now in this season.
That's a big question.
Just one word, just not.
Well, I'm trying to think of the best word.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about soul alignment, and now we're talking about what is that rooted in,
Mm-hmm.
and how do you condense that into a word?
Mm-hmm.
I could share what's showing up for me,
Yeah.
which is, and it didn't come through at first until I was able to reflect as Terry was sharing hers, and really, I think what it is for me is one of my values is reflection. Like
Mm-hmm.
and especially right now, I am really valuing reflection. And so, and it's been a little bit of a challenge for me because I am really sitting in like my devotion time, my journaling time. I'm also, I think why it's such a strong value to me is what it's part of what I naturally do. And I also happen to be writing my team's book. So I have the Get Real for individuals, but the team's book now, the team's version of that. And I'm writing the reflection part, the R part of that book right now. So I'm just really valuing my own reflection on what even reflection means to me. And like this morning in that earlier conversation we had where the friendship word came up, Becky, I was like, I had so much come through for reflection in that conversation about how the values that we have in friendship can also are such an important part of a team culture, of a team environment.
Yeah.
All those things that we talked about. So I was furiously taking notes like, oh yeah, and remember, Nancy, like reflection for teams is also about the pause, giving yourself, giving the people on your team or even your team itself some time to just sit. We don't always have to be talking or doing,
Mm.
right? And it was like that was really coming through this morning. I'm like, yeah, like so for me, what's really showing up is I'm reflecting on my values and I'm reflecting a lot right now on the value of reflecting.
I love it.
Yeah, it's powerful thinking about how reflection is also a pause, right? It is less of going, 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 and it is more of the be intentional, pause, take notice. And I mean, yeah, that's huge to give ourselves the gift of reflection and to be able to do that recalibrating, realign with what's true for us now, because we're continuously growing, evolving, if we're allowing ourselves to, right? To move forward in the person that we continue to become and draw out that um in that pause. Yeah, I love that. That's great, Nancy.
Yeah, that I took a couple of helpful notes on that. And the word that I was kind of trying to come up with, because again, you're asking for one word. So
Yeah.
it's like, for me, I think it's remember.
Mm,
And that's an R word because you know how we like to do acronyms.
yes.
Um, remembering my values. I can't be in alignment with them if I don't remember them. So
Mm,
again, it's a pause. It's really a reflection. And it's when you mentioned valuing our past, it's
mhm.
also remembering how we got to where we are today,
Yeah.
because that's the value of our past, right? So
Yes.
remembering who I am at the core. So there's a whole
Mhm.
bunch of words for that. Remembering who I am at the core and what my values are, because there's more than one. Remembering to think in alignment with those values, to speak, feel, and act in alignment with those values. That's
Mm,
all, that's a conscious, um, and you could call it reflection, you could call it, but I didn't want to say the same word. It's remembering, right? It's remembering whom we are, where we came from, why we're here, and what is our purpose. Remembering all of that helps us to be in alignment with those values, which are more than just one word. um yeah, been thinking about that a lot. I was lately, the little podcasts and things that I've been going on to listen to, connections with people, that's coming up a lot, is values. Values
mhm.
seem to come up a lot for people because I think a lot of people don't have clarity around their values. And
Yeah.
it's that clarity of who you are at your soul
Mhm.
that helps you to remember and reflect and then act upon those values so that you're in alignment. And I think that is such a positive and powerful gift we can give ourselves. And that's what we do, all of us do as coaches and leaders, is to help people gain clarity around those values so that they can be in alignment, because that's when your soul is powerful. And when you serve, then you serve, and then you're a disciple of those values, and that's what makes you of service, which is all of our all of our passions, right? To serve
Yeah.
others. So it yeah, reflection, remembering. What else did I write down?
Well,
Recalibrate,
yeah,
realign.
Terry, what I love too is that, so before you guys started sharing yours, and I was saying, I just brought up friendship as something I'm valuing. In my head, I go, oh, but it's more like relationships.
There you
So
go.
then I was like, oh my gosh, that's 3 R's.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
So,
awesome. That's awesome.
just really relationships in general, right? I don't have to call someone my friend
Right.
to be able to value the relationship that I have with someone.
Mhm.
So it really beyond just friendship, right? Because I could pick that apart and say, yeah, but that person's not my friend. I wouldn't say I'm their friend. But I value relationships and the dynamic in my life of the different types of relationships that I'm cultivating very intentionally, and also, weeding out and saying goodbye to, or whatever that looks like, but really reflecting on the power of relationships for me in general. So
Whether they teach us what we want to do or what we don't
yeah,
want to do, right? I
yeah,
mean, really, relationships is the
exactly.
way that we build our capacity to connect, we can be rooted in those, uh,
Hmm.
those bits of experience that build knowledge to help us to be aligned with that
Yeah.
person or not, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the O in our acronym, I have own your truth. Now, right, I mean, discussing soul alignment here, I believe that a lot of it comes from our honest, like, evaluation, right? If we're thinking about even reflection, that's an evaluation that happens. So thinking about soul alignment really beginning with an honest evaluation, honesty. And I think about even with relationships and friendships, how, I talk about fear as my friend, and honesty is one of the things that I love about the friendships that I hold, that I think are sacred to me, because we're unafraid to say it how it is, or tell a little bit of a hard truth, right? So that we can help support each other to grow past the lies that we might be telling ourselves, right? To see the truth. I love to have people that can give me honest feedback, right? Even if it's hard. I believe that it's important for us to own our truth and have that discernment to say, oh, that is for my better, to hear that, as challenging as it might be, to in fact hear it, right? So what what might be those things in our life that no longer align with us, or with who we're becoming, that our friends or the relationships that we hold or the mentors that we have, right? They help us see those things, to explore that discomfort, right? And have the power to admit when something, yeah, you're right, I don't know if that is in alignment with my values, right? If we keep putting it through that filter to say, yeah, that might be out. I do appreciate when I get those questions, that I can be in reflection and really be like, yeah, I don't know if that was mine. I don't know if that's my truth. That might be someone else's that I allowed to take on for a little bit, but we can take it off. So owning our truth.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's really honesty is one of the three pillars of fearless living, but it's couched in compassion because honesty can be brutal.
Mhm.
And so there's I think as long as we're being honest with ourselves and reflecting on perhaps what we learned or didn't learn, or how we reacted or didn't react, and what's our next step, all those things where we can be honest with ourselves first, right? Honest with ourselves that we want to, and with others, we can couch that in compassion, which doesn't mean, it just doesn't mean giving people a break or whatever. It just means kindness, right?
Yeah.
In this particular thought. So there's the compassion, the honesty, and then the accountability. Those are the three basic tenets in fearless living. And you
Mhm.
just talked about all three of them. It's it's that accountability comes with the honesty, and that's where the alignment comes in, right? That's where the alignment really steps up and allows you to reflect and realign, and is also that, I think when Nancy was talking about reflection, there was a sense of kindness in that, and a sense of compassion in that as well. So I just saw a thing on Facebook yesterday that said, honesty can be brutality. And I thought, yeah, that's kind of like couching it with compassion. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. I love how, right, the things come together. Like, Carrie, it's like, oh, of course you just went through those principles, right? And the understanding that those are what we walk through, because it's a truth, right? And how important it is to have those components together. And I always forget that those are the three tenets that you always talk about until I say it, and you're like, there it is.
Yeah. Yeah. The truth is the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I really like, Becky, that you added, what with the reflect, you said reflect on your values. And then the question was, what are you valuing right now? And I love
Mhm.
that, because the truth also can change based on your growth. Right.
Yes.
And so, like, where we are today doesn't necessarily have to be our truth for next year. There are some things that, like a lot of times you'll hear people talk about, values typically don't change, right? They're kind of deeply embedded in us, but they can, I mean, I think they grow, or
Mhm.
they take on another form or shape. Um, and like, and so what's showing up for me right now is like, I would have never told anybody, like, if I'm listing out my values, when I think about my values, reflection does not come up as a value in my typical list, but
Sure.
now it does. And it's like,
Mm.
oh, like that is okay. Like, and it's part of the bigger picture of my value of integrity and, kindness, right? But it's sort of like, it's a nuance to, what is deeply embedded in me. And,
Mm.
so that I'm just so much is just kind of bubbling up around that for me right now.
Yeah. I like that. There might be a little bit more discussion in this next one, because the second O is observe your habits, right? So then I'm thinking, oh, I wonder if, reflection is more of a habit and a routine, right? Because thinking about how habits, routines, people, the relationships, right, the mindsets that keep us stuck, right, can hold up our alignment, or, help us get off track. And so thinking about the question of like, what habits are supporting your alignment, I definitely think reflection is one of those, like journaling for me, right? That's a big one that I've stepped into very largely over the last 25 days of me and my 75-day challenge. And, on the flip side, right, thinking about, well, which habits or routines, people, mindsets are not supporting us. It's important to observe those as well, so that we can make change in our life that brings us back to the things that mean the most. So the
Yes.
second O is observe those habits.
I love the idea of observing them from a standpoint too of, are they in alignment, you know, with your
Mhm.
soul? Because habits are so often just, again, they're deeply embedded in us from, for a long time. And so, just that, walking through the question of, how is this habit, how is this activity that I'm doing, that I do routinely, right? Supporting me in my alignment.
Because a lot
That's
of time
pretty
our
powerful.
habits are, yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, Nancy. a lot of time our habits are things that have been conditioned. You know, we've either been conditioned by society, by our family, by, environment. And sometimes we do them without that reflection or without that
Mhm.
question, of are they in alignment with my values, or is it just a routine that habitually has come into my life? And I don't think I've thought about that either. So I think that's going to help me to reflect on my daily routine. Uh, is it really supporting me and being alignment and being, soulful alignment? So that's I like that a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, because we can get on autopilot, right? And we could pick up those habits
Yep.
or those things that we're like, oh, this is really great in this season. Well, when things evolve or when things start to dissolve in our life, being able to really observe, is this still in alignment with where my desires lie right now? Right? In my soul, like what I'm really here to do right now, is it still a positive, a healthy habit? Or has it become more destructive in your life or just stealing your time?
Right.
I really think about right now, what's coming to me is that specifically in my life, I had a very, I have a long, like, affirmations or mantras listed out in my phone as like a note in the morning that I was reading through. And it would take me, I mean, it probably takes a full like 10 minutes to get through all of these mantras and things that I received from a book that I loved. But it's like I have been reciting those every day for months, and I don't feel that it's supporting me. So why was I checking that box off? Like nobody is grading my habits but me and my soul and how I feel about the things that I'm giving my energy to. And that's something that I it's naturally kind of just fallen off, and I'm paying attention to it, and I have been observing that habit to say, do I feel like I'm missing it? No. The only reason I'm questioning if I'm missing it is because it was something I'd trained my brain to know this was a step in my day. And
Mhm.
now I have allowed myself to say, I don't think that I need to do that. I think that it was something that I wanted to experience. And that's why I'm someone that I do really appreciate. I don't know if it's a value necessarily, but I appreciate challenges and like checkpoints to just say, I'm willing to try this thing. I'm willing to make this change and experience it for a couple months and really give it stock. And then I'm practicing being okay with it not being the thing, right? And just observing and really sitting with how it is right now with my life, with the things that I'm in alignment with, and the way that I am committed to those routines and habits to give myself permission to set things down. That's a big challenge for me, generally, that I'm definitely growing in, ladies. I'm excited to see that right now. So I love that. Observe our habits. I'm glad that that sounds like it's one of those things that we can all be reminded of. Okay, let's go to the T, which is trust. Trust your inner knowing, right? And that's what this whole conversation is about. We're really diving into trusting our intuition, spiritual practices that we might have. We mentioned journaling, um, obviously prayer, or just really tapping into that inner guidance for ourselves to know and have that ability to know, the question, what is your soul whispering right now? Like, where do you need to trust more in yourself, in your soul alignment? And I love the like saying the soul whisper, because for me, it really is like intentionally being able to listen, because it is so quiet and pushed down from those conditionings that we were talking about, and the autopilot and the things of myself just going, to slow down and really trust in my intuition, in my inner knowing.
Yeah, I'm like really processing this because I'm asking myself, like, how do I do this? Or and what's really just showing up is I know, like, when I'm in the space of trusting my knowing, everything feels so good, right? It feels right. I'm in flow. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not second guessing, and I'm really in alignment with my soul. Like I'm showing up aligned with my values, aligned with how I want to, you know, impact the world or the people around me, aligned with just yeah, my truth, like who I am. It's who I am, right? And so um I'm and what I encourage, people to do that I probably don't do often enough myself is to really sit with, well, when that happens, like when you feel like you're just so aligned and everything's just flowing, to really capture what was happening. Like, who were you with?
Mm,
What were you talking about? Um, where were you? How, you know, uh, like what flowed out of you? And like just really being in tune with that's you. There's something about like if I'm envisioning the fountain, Becky. Like, I feel like this fountain is like what's flowing out. And
yeah.
like, so what's at the foundation of that fountain to make it flow, to make it bubble up and just come out, right? That's the soul alignment piece.
Mm,
Yeah, I love that word flow. Again, in my fearless living life, we call that flow wholeness. When
mm,
you are in your wholeness, which for me, my identified wholeness is inner peace. I definitely know when I'm there. I love this idea of when I am there, observing, one of our O's, observing just what you said. Where am I? Whom am I with? What am I doing? Why am I, what is it that's creating this wholeness that I feel this peace, which is the flow for me. I mean, it can be different things for different people, but um that wholeness. So I just really um I know that that comes from trust. I know that wholeness comes from trusting that I am in the right place, uh, that I'm trusting the Holy Spirit to guide me, that I'm trusting my experiences and knowledge and trusting my capacity to reflect upon that and grow from that.
mm,
That's when I feel like I'm in the flow. For me, just an example of when I'm in that flow is when I'm teaching a workshop.
mm,
I mean, it is ease. It is ideas coming to me that I didn't say in another workshop because it's what the people there need to hear. It's that there's just that inner knowing that I'm in the right place doing the right thing. And that's just an example. There's a lot other times too, but I know what that is. That is me in my wholeness, because that is
mm,
one of my gifts that God gave me. And so I'm doing that. So that's what came to my mind when you talked about flow, Nancy. It's just to me, that's my wholeness. It's when I know I'm trusting God, I'm trusting that intuition that the right thing will come to me to say and to do. And when that happens, it's like my insides start to feel so warm, and I know that I'm being a vessel, right? And I'm doing God's
mm.
work.
Love that. Grow in the flow. That's
There
what
you
I hear.
go. There you
That's what I hear.
go.
Grow in the flow. Beautiful. I love it. Okay, let's go to the E. E is embody your purpose. Embody. I love the word embody. Just feels so, again, like it kind of reminds me of what you're talking about, Terry, right? Like embodiment is really like that active feeling in my body that I like that knowing, you know? And for me, to embody my purpose, I feel like this is really where we shift from thinking about things to action. Like from thought to action is what the embodiment is. So, right, the question that I would prompt us to think is like, what would it look like to live your truth, right? Today, this week, in your business, your relationships, or your personal leadership, right? I love that all three of us are big on leadership and personal development. And so, I mean, what would it look like for you to be living your truth this week? Mm. Embodied.
Stumped us both.
What'd you say, Nancy?
So she stumped us both. We're both like, oh, what would it mean to live in our
I mean, it should
purpose
have.
this week?
Embodying that purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think the word that really sticks out to me is action. I feel like I'm in tune with my spirit. I do have intuition. I get hits of things to do. It's that step of the thought to the action. So I love that I wrote down thought to action, because oftentimes I'm not taking the action that I feel would embody that my discipleship, that if I would take the action, then I would be following up with the spirit. I would be not just listening, but I would be doing, And I always tell my kids, I say, when you get those intuitive hits and the spirit's telling you to do something and you don't do it, you're not going to get it as often. And so I need to tell myself that, that it's that action on the intuition that sets you into motion or the flow in order to be in alignment with that intuition, right? Which is what we're talking about, soulful alignment. Yeah, there you go. I'll write that down. Another book.
I know Nancy's been listening to this audiobook of Big Magic, and that's literally one of the big things in this book. For Creative Living Beyond Fear by Elizabeth Gilbert is the Big Magic book. Is talking about that, how she says inspiration, right? Like inspiration won't keep hanging out with us if we keep ignoring it.
Yep.
Eventually we'll get sick of falling on deaf ears and it'll go somewhere else. So
yeah, that, I mean, to me, that's my challenge as and I pray about it, I think about it, but it's the action step, So I love
yeah.
that. I'm gonna get that book and start listening to it while I'm walking.
Okay, so you're gonna love this. The D for our acronym is declare, aligned, action.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Okay.
So I love that you naturally are doing that wrap up of a bold declaration. I heard you say, I'm going to get that book and I'm going to start listening to it on my walk. Very specific declaration of action from you, Terry.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love how that happens.
So glad I could do that for you.
Right? I think, like, what is one soul aligned action that you're going to choose this week? That's literally the question I have wrote out for wrapping this conversation up, because everything, that I want for this podcast and for our listeners and for us as well, of course, is like, how are we moving this into action? I hate the idea of it just falling to like, oh, that was great. But what resonated with you? What had you feeling like, ooh, a nudge, that inspiration, that draw to say, yeah, I want to commit to that. I want to say yes to that. That is me living in my truth. And I'm going to move into action, get into some momentum building with taking a step. So what's one soul aligned action that you're going to choose to take this week?
I already declared mine.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Nancy, anything coming up for you? How are you doing? From either one of those last two.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's sort of flowing together, right? Like what's coming to me is, and I think, is my whole real framework, right? Like I want to live in that framework because I believe in it so much. So I declared it several months ago. I don't know if if you remember that, Becky. It looks like you do, where I was like, if I'm going to be the real expert, I have to live in that real framework,
Yep.
right? Like I have to feel it, deliver it, for myself, for others. And so, um, one of the things that I've been creating a new habit around is really just when I end my day is just, where did I reflect today? Where did I engage today? How did I align with myself today? Or, and sometimes it might be with a team. So how did I align my actions to what the team needed, right? That I'm working with. Where did I take action? Lead is all about taking the action, doing something with what are talking about. So I can do all this reflection and owning my truth and observing my habits and trusting my inner knowing. And that's all great. But if I stop there, it's that's just part of the goodness of connecting with myself. The biggest part of connecting with myself is actually taking action so that I can serve the world with what God's placed me here to do, who I am, and what I'm being called to do in this moment, in this space. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, so that's what's showing up, and I'm not like, do I need to declare another like, I think
No.
it's just, I think really what it is like I'm declaring that um to do something with it, to do something with my real framework every day, to live
Yeah.
in that framework. And I won't always hit every piece, but that's also not what the framework's about, right? The
Hmm.
framework's about, am I like which tool, what was most needed today? Um, Sometimes it's I need more engagement because I'm out here feeling lonely or on my own or doing my own thing and not paying attention to what is really important for me to focus on today based on, what the world needs, right? I can do what I love and love what I'm doing, but if it's not serving the greater good, then I have to ask myself, how long can I keep doing that? So I
Yes.
don't know. I'm going around in circles now, but lots showing up over here.
I
So
love
yes,
it.
thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
getting us to declare aligned action. And I think the word aligned is really important. I mean, it goes back to, yeah, if I've reflected and owned my truth, I'm choosing an action that is aligned with my purpose, with my
Mhm.
soul. If I haven't done those things, I might naturally intuitively do it, which is, the trusting part. But if it's not coming naturally, then how do I tune in?
You observe your habits. That's the one you
Yeah,
didn't say.
yeah,
I'm looking at the recap of the words and I'm like, oh, but you didn't mention observing the habits, right? So that's what my encouragement would be like when we absolutely when we were like, oh, but I'm doing all the things, and then that's a real like, okay, let's really observe. And Terry, I think about like a time log, which I know that I learned from Fearless Living and being in your coaching program, is really taking stock of like, what am I doing in this time? How are these habits really serving me? And getting really specific to hone in on those things when I feel like I'm doing all the things and it's not working. Well, am I just saying I'm doing the things, or am I doing the wrong things, right? That are out of alignment with the thing that I'm committed to, that I'm declaring for my purpose to come to fruition, you know, on a deeper level. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good reminder. I'm going to put life log here as
Mm-hmm.
a way to look at, observe, and reflect. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for
Yeah.
bringing that.
Yeah. Life log. That's what it was called.
I'm going to declare I'm going to do one of those.
I love it.
Becky, I'm like envisioning the next version of the On Purpose with Purpose journal. And you know
Mhm.
how the questions at the end of the day, like what habits did you observe today that are in alignment with your soul? Like just each of
Mhm.
these, like, you know, take a
Yeah.
moment, reflect on your values, like it's just so powerful, right? But to end your day with being, were you really aligned with who you are?
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, I can see, I'm starting to write a really good intention around this. What I'm
I
willing
love.
to practice in order to be in alignment with my soul. I think I could come up with a list of 5 goals that would fit right underneath there. Make a new intention with 5 goals, because I'm willing to practice habits that will align my thoughts, words, and actions with my soul's purpose. There's the intention. Now, here's how I'm going to do that, or the goals.
Yeah. And those habits don't have to feel heavy, right? I think
No, I mean,
habits
I have my
feel
health.
healthy for a lot of people.
Yeah, I
But
have
when they're in alignment, that's where that flow and the ease comes from, right? That's exactly what we're saying.
Mhm.
I love that. Yeah, there's such power, right, in this time to reflect on these pieces because of the alignment that creates inner peace, clarity, and the confidence to go out and walk our talk.
Yeah, yeah.
So I wanna wrap this up by thanking you ladies, Terry and Nancy, for being here to have this conversation about rooted and how the soul alignment piece that we've been walking through this month has just been continuous building of that inner peace and clarity and confidence for myself. And I always walk away with so much more wisdom being in a room with you, being open to sharing. So thank you so much for joining the podcast conversation today. And I want to remind our listeners that if you loved this conversation and you received some amazing wisdom and nuggets from these ladies, please be sure to share this and connect with them. And yeah, thank you for being here. I appreciate both of you.
Thanks for holding the space, Becky.
Yeah, ditto.